quite the escalation in this trade war. What are you concerned about right now?
I'm concerned that Mark Carney listens to what she just said.
Quite the reaction as the deal fell through. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. Today, we're going to break this down. Carney did a press conference. We'll show some of that. We got Doug Ford. We've got quite the responses here on CBC. We've got a pundit with his head screwed on right, calling out another one. And what really happened with this deal? Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off, Mark Carney posting his statement here on what happened. Said that, elbows up, we're going to fight counter tariffs. The counter tariffs will come in, I believe, in a week or week and a half. Now, I just want to point this out here. Carney got 10 million views on this. The top comment, which was posted just after he posted this last night, is mine. Mark Carney is 91% invested in America and milking Canada dry, posting his conflicts of interest here. I take these opportunities every single time I see them, so more Canadians can wake up to what's really going on. Now, I'll say Mark Carney's press conference, it was a good speech. He's good at really laying it on thick, using the fear. Carney knows what he's doing with that. He knows how to manipulate people. We're going to break down some of these clips here and what's going on here.
The U.S. introduced in the last hours, efforts to restrict our ability to have other trade deals. You heard me say a moment ago, what we've accomplished in the last year, 20 new deals, economic and security partnerships, the prospect of doubling our market access because we believe in free trade. We're the partner of choice in many respects for countries around the world, and the Americans wanted to restrict that. They had language.
So throughout this, he takes shots at Donald Trump over and over.
Which they wanted to restrict. Unacceptable. The U.S. introduced.
So he's saying there's language that would restrict doing deals with other countries. Which countries are those? That's the question. I've seen a bunch of accounts on X. We got Kirk Lubimov here, who does future economics policy for a living, and him saying this is why the negotiation collapsed. I just showed you the clip. Canada not being able to negotiate or do trade deals with other countries. Well, which countries is that? But more importantly, a lot of people like Kirk and others saying, if what Mark Carney is saying is true, then we shouldn't have done this deal. Now, we have to remember, this guy lied to our face during the election.
I own nothing now. I came into public life at a time of crisis. I put my hand up because of the crisis, because of what's represented by that bridge, what's represented by the threats to these good men and women of Unifor and their colleagues across southwestern Ontario and across Canada. I came in. What I've done is put all my affairs in order well in advance. I own nothing but cash and personal real estate. So
you notice that he laughed when he said that. This guy gives away his lies. Whenever he has a little chuckle like that, it's duper's delight. He gets pleasure in duping people in a lie.
I own nothing but cash and personal real estate.
We know that's a blatant lie because he has 567 stocks that he disclosed to the ethics commissioner. So why would he say this during the election? Just to trick Canadians because they'll find out later? Oops, gotcha. Too late, I'm prime minister? That's what he did. This guy's a chronic liar. I see so many people on Twitter saying, well, if Carney is telling the truth. No, we can't trust this guy. He's a chronic liar. All these liberals are liars. They cannot be trusted.
So, and that's not going to change. In public life, that's not going to change. It's actually quite straightforward.
Yeah, it's quite straightforward. This guy lied to Canadians. He should be thrown out of office for such a blatant lie. He disclosed himself this document, which has all of his stocks. He just said he only has cash and real estate when this very document here shows all 567 of his stocks. And I think Canadians need to take some caution here when trusting what Mark Carney says, because he's already lied to us, and he's done it numerous times. He's done it so many times I can't even keep up with the Carney lie tracker here. There's too many. Misled about Brookfield's U.S. headquarter move. Spoke out of both sides of his mouth on the pipeline. One thing to French Canadians, another thing to English-speaking Canadians. Denied meeting with the Chinese-linked Jinsu Commerce Council. He lied about all this stuff, and then they had them delete the website. Now the question is, who did the Americans not want us doing deals with? Melissa's got this all lined up here on a single screen.
More about what the United States was demanding Canada do with its other trading partners. Were they asking us to impose tariffs on other countries in conjunction with them?
Tom, there were elements of that, and in certain sectors. And to be clear, there are elements where we would see the merit of that as part of a comprehensive deal that made sense for Canada. So if you have an integrated auto market and you want to have an integrated steel market, for example, related aluminum market, then and you have concerns, as we do, as the Americans do, about non-market economies, about transshipment of steel, for an example.
Most likely, as she's pointing out here, this has to do with China. Just back August 13th, she's got this one here, the Great Transshipment Scam. He just said the word himself. This is a document that came out in America, basically pointing out this problem where goods come in from China to other countries like Canada and then goes into America. They're using our country, and they use Mexico as well, to get into the American economy. As she says, the United States just released a report which considers Canada among China's biggest enablers in avoiding U.S. tariffs through transshipment. They probably had a clause saying no more nonsense with Chinese goods coming in through Canada into America. And obviously he's going to obey his Beijing master.
For the future of the country, the Churchill Agreement, Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador, supported by the federal government, that agreement and those initiatives are the most important initiatives for the future of our country. As important as trade is with the U.S. and as dramatic as the issues are and the response that we have to give in certain industries, what we're doing ourselves, premiers, the federal government, truly Canadians, is far, far more important. It dominates. Thank you.
It dominates. His Churchill agreement offering $10 billion taxpayer money to build this upgraded Churchill hydro dam in Newfoundland is the most important thing, more than the American economy and trading with them. It dominates. His words. Are you kidding me? This guy is building net zero in Canada. He knows it's a load of garbage, but Brookfield's so invested in it. They're selling this to everyone. He wants to cash in on this. He's going to keep his investments in oil and gas, in technology, and all the good stuff he knows is going to be nice and stable in America, 91%. And then he's using our economy to try to hit this big home run. And if it doesn't work, don't worry. He's invested in America. He's got a nice, safe hedge down there. That's what he's doing. He does not care about getting a deal with America. I've been saying this a long time. He's not going to get a deal. This intel came in that a deal was there. He was going to sign it. I'm telling you now, it's not the Americans that pulled this back. It was Carney. They got new polling data showing that it was better for them to turn this deal down because everyone got all flared up with the 50% tariff threat that came in recently. And because of that, they decided to pull this back, not get the deal. It would be better for them in the polls to not get a deal for Canadians. Politically, that's what they're doing here. They're not going to tell you this on CBC. They're not going to tell you this on CTV. And really, my sources, they're not going to be talking to those guys because they're not trusted. Carney blew this up because it's better for him politically. He's rolling out net zero to make himself rich. He's going to burn our country down in the process. We're going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of companies leave Canada in the next year. And we got buffoons like Doug Ford. I mean, they're all doing the same thing.
Again, I'm going to give the Prime Minister credit one more time. It's very complicated, folks. And, you know, President Trump, he can't be trusted. Simple as that. He changes the deal. He keeps moving the goalpost. You know,
Okay, we don't need to listen to all this. I mean, obviously how Trump's negotiating, it irks people. It's not how typically things are done. It's a bulldog approach that nobody knows how to handle, nobody knows how to deal with. And since Trump has the most amount of power, it really can't be fought with on any good level. That's why you have to appease the guy. You got to offer him a real big win at the opportune time and become friends with him. And Carney's done the exact opposite. He's insulted the guy. He has all the rhetoric around the world. Anytime you can poke fun at him, he's been doing it over and over. Carney doesn't want the deal. Now, they're considering getting this deal because the Americans were forcing them into it. And the polling was starting to shift where it looked like they had to get a deal. But after polling the new 50% tariffs, people just flared up elbows up again and they're good to go. The Liberals are once again good to go to just keep this going, not getting a deal. And Carney loves it. Here's Doug Ford from a couple of years ago. What does he have to say about Trump here?
Chicago to New Jersey to Florida. I heard this momentum happening. And when he first announced, everyone was laughing. And I said, he's going to win. And not only is he going to win, he's going to be the next president. And I truly believe he'll be the next president.
He's obviously your pick for president. Tell us why.
Well, because he's not a politician. He's against the establishment. And the establishment has run the Republican Party and the Democrat Party for God knows how long.
All righty, Doug.
There's a lot of baggage Hillary carries along with Bill. And he put Bill in his place a couple of weeks ago, which was good.
Well, Dougie used to love Trump, not anymore. I just want to point this one out. Marty up north posting this. He wants everyone to go down with the ship. He's going to print money like we've never seen before. I predict Carney will rack up $1 trillion in new debt during his tenure as PM. I think that's pretty accurate. And then this guy here, Sam, posting this graph, which is just shocking. Every G7 country hit the brakes on money printing except Canada. So it says monthly M2 money supply indexed March 2004, which is back here. So 2004 all the way until 2026 Mark's June, and you can see everyone hit the brakes right here. I mean, depending which country, they all hit the brakes except Canada. We're up plus 361, almost 362%. That's why things are so expensive. They're devaluing our dollars. Every dollar buys less. Green peas used to cost $1. Now it's $3. They keep printing this money and doubling it. A bag of frozen green peas is going to cost $6, $7, $8. And then you're going to see riots and civil war in the streets because people can't afford anything. They can't afford food. They can't afford nothing. What's going to happen? They're going to go after the politicians. They're going to go after the police or the next door neighbor. Anyone who pisses them off, anyone who thinks is getting in their way or is the problem, it's going to turn into anarchy. I don't know if that's going to be in the next month, in the next 6 months, and next year. Probably not. Probably a couple years down the road. But if Mark Carney is prime minister for another, not just couple years, but say 6 years, there's going to be civil war in this country because Carney's going to burn this whole place down. People will probably have still not figured out that it's Mark Carney that is the problem.
Building at home and diversifying trade abroad is not our plan B. It has been our plan A from the start. Canada will continue to pursue this path to build Canada strong because it's right and because it's working. We're moving rapidly to build major infrastructure. We've already referred 27 nation-building initiatives to the new major projects office, new ports, mines, energy corridors from every region of the country that now represent $500 billion in new private investment. Projects that will help Canada build bigger, move faster, and trade more with the world. Grâce à Maison Canada nous
So he goes into French here, and after the French, listen to what he says. My jaw dropped when I was listening to this. I was driving and I was listening to it, and I couldn't believe it.
Just last Monday in St. John's, the governments of Canada, Quebec, Newfoundland, and Labrador launched the single largest investment in Canada's history to build the largest clean energy project in North America ever. It will produce enough clean electricity to power every single vehicle in Canada.
I'm sorry, what? This will be... So this Churchill project will produce enough electricity to power every vehicle. I'm sorry, Carney. My vehicle doesn't run on electricity. Most Canadians' vehicles do not run on electricity. So what is he saying here? Is he bringing back the EV mandate? He's going to bring it back in another form. Is he going to force us to buy EVs again? He's saying a lot here with such a small statement. Is he saying that that one facility will power the current number of EVs? I don't think so. Energy is the most important thing on earth for a society. The societies who don't have it are still years, decades behind everyone else, like the African countries. The more energy a country has, the more prosperity. It's been like this ever since these sources of energy have been discovered. Jumping over to CBC, listen to this. So this lady here, Danielle Parka, Croft Financial Group, is talking about this extra leverage that we have that Carney could use. And then this other guy pops in here, this guy, just smacks down what she says. It's hilarious.
I think there's something here that we maybe are discounting, which is Canada is now the 5th largest holder of U.S. treasuries in the world. And that makes us have some influence with respect to this much the talked about issue of late, which is the U.S. having a $40 trillion federal debt and it having run a deficit of almost 6% now for many, many years. The federal debt has doubled since 2020 in the U.S. And I think that our former Bank of England, Bank of Canada governor, who is now the prime minister of our country, is very aware of the capital markets aspect of this. And I think that he has been accumulating. For example, our holdings of U.S. treasuries has gone up about 30% in the last 2 years since Mark Carney's been in power. And I think that there's potentially another avenue here to exert financial pressure on the U.S. They, for example, intervened this week when they saw that, their prices of bonds was rising because they have this incredible Achilles heel of having way too much debt and spending way too much deficits and now having AI companies compete for credit markets, et cetera. So this is a very complex topic. I appreciate that, but I'm just saying there is another avenue of leverage here, which I think our prime minister is extremely aware of. And I think that that is something that gives me some hope in terms of exerting more pressure.
She's crazy if she thinks that Mark Carney's going to leverage American debt to hold it over them. Their economy is 13 times bigger than ours. Like, this is absurd. Listen to what this guy has to say.
Mark, we have less than a minute left. This is quite the escalation in this trade war. What are you concerned about right now?
I'm concerned that Mark Carney listens to what she just said. No, Canada play. There's no way for Canada to play the monetary game with the United States without it having devastating effect on Canada. That's why the Chinese haven't played that game and the Europeans haven't played that game. A lot of people talk about it. Nobody's going to do it. I'm waiting to see that we have a measured response to the Prime Minister and find some way to get back to the table.
Finally, some truth on the CBC. We're not playing that game. We should not be playing that game. But Carney is going to play that game. He's going to put tariffs on us. We have to pay a higher price. We have less products to choose from, less access, more expensive. It's going to be bad. Now, getting on to the questions. You got to listen to this. He tells a reporter he can't ask 3 questions.
Can you talk more about what the United States was demanding Canada do with its other trading partners? Were they asking us to impose tariffs on other countries in conjunction with them?
Tom, there were elements of that, and in certain sectors. And to be clear, there were elements where we would see the merit of that as part of a comprehensive deal that made sense for Canada. So if you have an integrated auto market and you want to have an integrated steel market, for example, related aluminum market, then and you have concerns, as we do, as the Americans do, about non-market economies, about transshipment of steel, for an example, through third countries, et cetera, then it makes sense to align. And I would say that, again, within a comprehensive deal, we'd be.
Okay, so he's word saladating here. He mentioned transshipment. He knows about that report that came out of America.
That's us deciding to do something that is in our joint interests, as opposed to being told to do something or being restricted from doing something else. Now, the second point is we weren't satisfied. Ultimately, where on steel, aluminum, and related products, so-called derivative products, think HVAC systems, nuts and bolts, anything that's Bombardier products, Bombardier recreational products, there wasn't enough movement. Then there's a separate issue, and I'll just stop with a sentence here, which was language which suggested restrictions in terms of our ability to execute trade deals, which would always be unacceptable to this government.
So once again, that seems like he's talking about China. Now listen to this follow-up.
What do you think their goal was there? What were they trying to do? And if I could just, as a second part, what were they asking on culture?
You can ask the first, not double follow-up. Since you asked, could you ask? I'm going to say no. You can't ask 3 questions.
Easy there, Stalin. You wouldn't want to answer an extra question now.
Look, sorry. Now I've forgotten the first part of your question.
What was it in trying to get us gain more control over our trade?
Oh, why are they trying to do that? It's a power play. It's a power play, and becomes a question of sovereignty. Look, we're very.
So he just goes into a word salad here. When it comes down to it, he's doing what's best for his political career, not for Canadians who are losing their jobs, not for the mills shutting down, not for the steel, aluminum, the autos, all the tariffs, all the businesses connected to these sectors. I mean, that one mill that's going to be shutting down here in 2 months on the Sunshine Coast is most likely supporting numerous businesses all around in that town. That town might shut down to the point where there's nothing left there. And Carney doesn't care. His investments are safe in America. He's pushing net zero here to get rich. The guy does not care about our country. And for all the liberals watching, why did he lie to us during the election? Why did he say he had no investments when clearly he had 567 investments? That's what you have to ask. Even if you don't trust me, why did he lie to you? That's why I caution all Canadians with his statements there saying, well, if what Carney's saying is true. No, I'm not going to trust Mark Carney. I'm going to trust the sources I have that know what's really going on here. Carney pulled the pin because it was better for his political career, period.